Hey guys, it's Kendra. So this is my third vlog and I'll be talking about my embarrassing moments during clinicals so far. So the first question is, have you had an embarrassing moment yet or even witnessed one? So I get embarrassed easily, so half the things I might say probably aren't that embarrassing. But there's been a few times when the surgeon will hand me a retractor. I don't know, I'll give them a retractor, and sometimes you can't tell if they want you to hold it or if they're just retracting themselves while they cut something. Sometimes they're good about telling you, hey, will you hold this for me, or sometimes you can definitely tell, and then there's other times where they don't say anything. And so there's been a few times I'll grab it and start holding it, but they don't let go. And so a few times my preceptors have laughed at me for grabbing the retractor, I guess, when I didn't need to hold it. I've also dropped instruments on the ground. Luckily they weren't big important instruments. I think I've dropped towel clips on the floor, and every time I hang up the little bag to put my garbage in on the back table, it always drops. So yeah, I feel like I always make a mess because I always miss the garbage can every time I try and throw something away. I wouldn't say I've really witnessed an embarrassing moment from anyone in the OR. Not that I can think of anyways. Second question, what mistakes have you made? I've made a lot of mistakes. There's times it's so busy in the room that we don't even, we'll forget to count because, or my preceptor will have to remind me, hey, you gotta count, because by the time the circulator comes into the room with the patient, they're busy getting the patient all comfortable and prepping, and then the surgeon comes in, so we're getting the surgeon ready and helping drape. That by the time we're up to the field, we're already retracting and still have to throw stuff off to the circulator. And there's times I'll be in the middle of retracting and my preceptor will be like, hey, now you have to count. So I've definitely made some mistakes with forgetting to count and having to be reminded. One thing I do get yelled at by my preceptors a few times is when we do the closing count. Instead of taking an instrument and touching the needles in the needle holder, I'll use my finger, which isn't the best way to do it. And they tell me every time that I need to. I think today was one of the days when I remembered to not use my finger when counting. Then there's been a few times I've contaminated the back table and myself. I think I was with one preceptor and they had another lady in there helping us open stuff onto the back table, and I didn't realize it, but I guess I didn't pull the paper back far enough for one of the gowns when I was opening it up, and it touched the back table. And so luckily it wasn't a huge spot, so we were able to just put a sheet over it. And then a few times when it came to draping the patient, my hand I'm not very aware of my surroundings, so my hand would like touch the patient and I'd have to change my gloves. I think there's one time that we contaminated the back table too. It wasn't, I didn't contaminate it, but my preceptor did, because we were kind of in a hurry to bring it over to the other side and get everything onto the patient, like the bovie and stuff, and she didn't realize it bumped into the suction machine, so we had to cover that up. But yeah, other than that, I know I made a lot of other mistakes. I think passing instruments in the beginning, like I've said, I haven't passed them confidently, so I would just kind of hand it to the surgeon instead of just smacking it into their hand. I've probably, there's been a few times I would be in a hurry that I'm not able to get a needle out of the needle driver fast enough because the surgeon needs a certain instrument. So I drop the needle holder with the needle in it on my back table and grab the instrument real quick, which probably isn't the best idea because I could get poked. And same with the one-handed technique with the hypo. There's been a few times I would either not use that technique, or because sometimes it'd be too hard to get the needle in, so I'd just hold the cap a little bit, and not the best idea. Or sometimes I wouldn't, like with the needle, the surgeon would need another instrument right away, so I just kind of set the syringe with the hypo uncapped to get the instrument for the surgeon, and then I'd go back and cap it, which probably I should cap before I get the instrument for the surgeon, just to protect me and my preceptor from getting a needle stick injury. Third question, how did you fix them and how did I handle them? Well, when it came to the contamination, I would pay closer attention to my surroundings and make sure that I be careful where my hands are and aware that I'm not standing too close. Because I did contaminate my gown once too, because I was getting instruments out of the instrument tray, and front of my gown hit the Mayo stand, because it was kind of tall and I'm so short, and so just getting it out was kind of a struggle, and my gown hit the Mayo stand, so I did contaminate my gown. So I guess just being more aware of my surroundings, and when it comes to getting the instrument tray out, they told me to suck my stomach in. It's a weird, you're in a weird position for a second trying to get it out, but it's better than contaminating yourself. So, yeah, and then something I did today with counting, so when the nurse would come back with the patient, instead of counting right when it's all hectic in the operating room, if the circulator's in the room with me and I got everything, my back table all sorted out, I will ask my circulator to count with me before they go get the patient, which sometimes it's hard to do because I'll just get, we'll open up everything and then we'll get scrubbed in, and then sometimes they'll leave right after we're scrubbed in, or sometimes they'll just pour the saline and then leave to get the patient while we're still in the middle of setting up. So luckily I was able to do that today, count with my circulator before they went and got the patient, which made it a lot easier to do. And then for making sure I don't touch the needles with my fingers when I count during the closing count, I just try and like set an instrument near the needle box to remind myself to use that instrument to count with. Next question. Did you pick yourself up or worry about it all day for the mistakes I've made? Honestly, I just kind of picked myself up. I didn't worry about it because I'm still learning. I'm sure people have worked there for years and they still make mistakes. I've seen a few mistakes already, so I just kind of learn from it and move on. Don't let it get to me, because then I'm just gonna worry about it all day and wouldn't be good. And then, have you noticed that everyone in the OR makes mistakes? I have. I've noticed a few times, with the prepping. I wouldn't have known this, but I guess the nurse was prepping for an eyelid surgery, and you're supposed to do both eyelids even if just one eyelid's being operated on. And the surge tech who was taking over for our break, I guess she told the circulator she only needed to prep one eye for some reason, but and a lot of times they always have the wrong suture. I noticed today it happened 2 times in a row when we'd have the small needle, and the surgeon kept telling us she likes the bigger needle, not the small one, so that's one thing. And I've also seen them contaminate themselves, or like they'll be really close to the back table and have their back to it, and or I was with one preceptor, and she we were both gowned and gloved, and the circulator left the room, and she decided to just tie the back of my gown even though she was already gowned and gloved herself. And she didn't bother to change into a new gown or gloves. So that was kind of interesting that she did that. I've also seen them if they don't have someone right there to help them spin, they will put it under their instrument tray and spin around and then pull it out from the instrument tray and tie themselves up, which I could see that as a possible contamination because their back is so close to the Mayo stand, the back table. Yeah. So I've seen a few mistakes that they've made. How did the team around you handle their mistakes? They just, I don't know if they've really thought of it as them making a mistake with the contamination thing, because they wouldn't change their gown or gloves, but when it came to having the wrong suture, like with prepping, they just kind of learned from their mistakes and don't let it get to them, because everyone makes mistakes. Have mistakes become easier since the beginning, or do you still find them embarrassing? I kind of find them embarrassing still, and but I've also noticed it's a lot easier because we all make mistakes, so that's just what I try and keep in mind, that I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to make mistakes even in a few years when I've been doing the job for a while. I'll probably still make mistakes. People that have been working there probably for 5 years now, and they make mistakes all the time, so and it's definitely a hurdle I will probably eventually get over, because I do get embarrassed so easily, but yeah, it's just a learning process, and I'm just going to take it day by day.